Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. My name is Rachel Gambino, and I am the Development Manager here with the Andrew Goodman Foundation. We're so pleased that you could join us tonight. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that this event is being recorded, and additionally, I have placed everyone on mute. We ask that you do remain on mute for the duration of our program. If you have a question, you can go ahead and drop it in the chat box. Elise just dropped a note in there. Feel free to drop anything in there throughout the duration of our presentation, or at the end of the presentation, we will open up for questions and answers. But with that, I'm excited to get the ball rolling for our All Eyes on Georgia Runoffs Students Race to the Polls briefing. And I am excited to introduce AGF's Managing Director, Maxim Thorne.
Good evening, everyone. What a crazy time, but this is the best mood we have been in a long time. We never saw this opportunity coming. And it also was a proof of concept, though we think we've proven this a long time ago, that young people, if properly motivated and educated, and if you remove the barriers that they face to voting, that they will vote. And in all states, the youth share of the voting roll, 21%, is in Georgia. So we are really excited about the opportunity to see what we can do in Georgia. Now you see Elise in front of the map. This is our footprint in the United States. We are in 26 states and Washington, D.C. But for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to talk about Georgia and what we plan to do to ensure that young people and our students can plan their vote, protect their vote, and cure their vote, and remove any barriers that they're going to face between now and January 5th, and even a few days after, where they might have a chance to cure any ballots that were rejected. As you can see, we are at 7 institutions in Georgia, which is reaching about 85,000 young people. But that's not including our innovative texting platform. Now, we have found through our work that young people, and I think any one of you who is young or have kids or grandkids, you know this. They don't email, they don't pick up the phone, they certainly don't phone you, but they respond to text. So we have invested a significant amount of money, which we'll talk about in a bit, in acquiring student cell phone numbers. And so we're going to be engaged in texting and having them text each other, including something really innovative where they can text and use our student voter portal to cure ballots in Georgia. For the presidential election, we were able to cure ballots through this module in Michigan, Florida, and Georgia. And now we are particularly focused on Georgia. We also did other kinds of curing of ballots in other states, but the ability to reach young people by text and help them get out the vote, register within the deadline, and so forth, we've never had that ability as we have now. So I'm really, really excited that you've joined us, and so you can talk about this. One other set of facts. If you saw our invitation, you see what a crucial role young people played in the turnaround of the state in Georgia. 90% of Black youth in Georgia voted for the Democratic candidate. 62% of young people voted for the Republican candidate. Very, very fascinating, because the Andrew Goodman Foundation is bipartisan. And so we look to see how best we can educate young people so that they're all civically engaged. So it's an interesting dynamic that has occurred in Georgia and in some of the other states. Our focus also are for young people who face the greatest number of challenges. So we have a special intervention that we're going to talk about that pertains to youth of color, particularly Black students. Really important because they face the greatest voter suppression. And so with that, all eyes are on Georgia.
Georgia, Georgia, no peace I find, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I, I said, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes so sweet and clear, like moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me. Other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams, I see the road leads back to you. I said, Georgia, Georgia, no peace I find. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we have an amazing opportunity here because we have someone who is everything Georgia. She's our executive director. She's a graduate of Spelman College and at Harvard Law School. And I could not be more pleased to introduce Alex Harris.
Thank you, Maxim. Just have to take the tears from my eyes. Jarvis took me there at that one. Georgia, there's so much that we know, as Maxim has said, about the impact of our work in Georgia. All the schools that we're working with in Georgia, including Spelman College, which is where I went, as Maxim pointed out, and where I got my activist beginning and my student organizing beginning at Spelman. And it happened exactly 20 years ago, excuse me, because of the presidential election between Bush and Gore. And when I went to go vote for the first time, I experienced what many people experienced in our primaries and some during this presidential election, being turned away when they went to go vote. And I remember experiencing that feeling of loss, the feeling of not feeling American, of feeling invisible, and a feeling that all of that work that I had done in preparation for the election was for naught. And it was a very, very destabilizing feeling. And I remember when I joined the Andrew Goodman Foundation, my thought was, I don't want our students to feel that. And I worked really hard, and our staff worked really hard to make sure as many students as possible were able to cast their ballots and be counted in this election. And so now the irony of having Georgia be the focus of this runoff is just outrageous. And it's outrageous because it's good and bad. You know, in some ways, I feel so vindicated to see that our students really showed up and showed out, especially around Atlanta. We're talking about a lot of HBCUs, and we're talking about a lot of students of color, even not at HBCUs, who showed up and showed out and cast their ballots and demand to be heard. And then we see the impact of that with Georgia flipping blue for the first time in so long, and really seeing this camaraderie and excitement among young people and students. So when we were devising our plan around Georgia, we were able to really lean into what we know works. And gone are the days from when I was organizing that you knock on doors or that you stand outside and you just beg people to sign up and it's all paper. What we're doing is so organized and it's so systematic. And we're able to really make an impact through the use of digital tools. And because of COVID, we've really been pushed further than ever before to utilize what we have in technology. We've always had My Vote Everywhere, which is our portal. It's a one-stop shop where people can register until December 7th to become registered in Georgia. And then it's also a place where, as Maxim highlighted, people can track their ballots and cure their ballots if they have any issue. And what's exciting is we've been doing this in Georgia already. So in the presidential election, people in Georgia were able to cure their ballots through our website. And now we know it works, we know that it's successful, and we're able to go even deeper. I want you to feel excited about the work that we're doing, to ask questions. We're here to help you if you want to become more engaged we've been able to actually have our people in our network, including Dale Berger, who's on this phone, be poll workers. Through all of our various ways of organizing, we've really been able to pull people in our network into this work. So we're excited about it, and we hope that Georgia will be as fruitful as we've been all around the country this year.
Here's what you're going to hear. The innovations that we proved worked in the presidential election that ended November 3rd. And to tell us about these innovations is the person who is the mastermind behind AGF's communications, our digital tool, the student voter portal, which is customized for these schools in Georgia, so that they actually integrate it with their websites and they can cure their ballots, register to vote, and so forth. And of course, the texting. So our communications director, Justina Krogowska.
Thank you so much, Maxim. I'm really excited and pleased to be here with you all tonight and to share a little bit about what we're doing for the Georgia runoff election. So this is an incredibly unique time for our college campuses. As you heard, we're already working with 7 of them on the ground through our programs team, but unfortunately, the semesters are wrapping up. So a lot of the campuses will be shutting down soon and students will either be heading home or they've actually been learning virtually all semester. So we've really had to look at interventions that we could take and really lean into using our digital tools to reach students and reinforce some of the work that's being done on the ground. So we've been looking at how to utilize our My Vote Everywhere portal. We were able to quickly update all of the information for the runoff election so that students had access to all of the upcoming dates, the December 7th registration. They were able to request absentee ballots right away that will be mailed out very soon, and make a voting plan, which is extremely important. As we all know, plans change. So that's an incredibly important tool to have access for our students. We will be texting students. So in addition to the 85,000 students that are currently attending our Georgia campuses, we also have access to 50,000 additional contact information for students. So we'll be launching our texting program and reminding them of all of these key dates, as well as also using on-campus influencers at each of these campuses. So even though students will not be together on their campuses, they'll still be able to gain access and learn about these key dates. We, as Alex and Maxim have already mentioned, also will be embedding the curing tool on our website. So for example, if a student simply forgets to sign their absentee ballot or there's an issue, they'll be able to cure right on our website by submitting an affidavit online, and it'll go right to their election officials before the cure deadline is approaches, so that their voice is counted. And we will also be acquiring additional contact information for the 23,000 students who will be turning 18 before the December 7th registration deadline. As you know, we were all on the edge of our seats watching those ballots being counted. As a matter of fact, one of our Puffin Fellows was actually in the arena counting ballots through the night to make sure that every single vote was counted in Georgia. So 1 ballot, 10 ballots, 100 ballots can make a huge difference in such a close election. So we'll be doing everything we can to make sure that students have all the information that they need in order to have their voice heard in Georgia.
Thanks, Justina. Folks, I'm not gonna what's the word? Toot our own horn, but I'm tooting our own horn. This is amazing stuff. And let me tell you what the timeline is. Now, of course, none of us predicted we'd be in a runoff, but we are. November 18th, which is 2 days from now, is the time when you can start early voting in Georgia, vote by mail. As Justina just told you, December 7th is the deadline to register to vote. So that 23,000, just think about that. The margin for this election was 14,000 that give the state to Joe Biden. There are 23,000 young people that will turn 18 and be able to vote by December 7th. So we have purchased their info, and which is partly why you're on this call, so that we can help register and motivate and educate them. December 14th is when the actual voting begins, and then January 5th, of course, would be the two senatorial runoff elections. So time is of the essence, and being able to ramp this up, not an easy task, but because we have the experience and we piloted this stuff more than 2 years ago, but we never did the kind of deep dive because we weren't living in a virtual world then as we are now. So we were well positioned to take advantage of this moment. So Elise, here is why we need your help. I want to show you what we're doing. We are going to be doing building a coalition rapidly with our campuses, as well as others and other local folks who focus on young people. And normally we take a leadership role, as we will here. We are doing a specific campaign digitally, led by Justina and some amazing folks that we want to bring on to help. We also have this texting program, which is so incredibly effective. All I'm showing you here is the bare bones cost, folks. We are incurring other expenses, luckily that we had incurred in the presidential election, but these are the additional costs that we want to do. And then, of course, we have ballot curing. So what you did not hear is, yes, more people and more youth voted by mail, but a disproportionate number of ballots of students, of young people, were rejected. And a disproportionate number of that were students of color. That's the same for Black people and other people of color. So we know this is part of the voter suppression toolbox, and we plan to take that on. So we need your help. It's about 75,000, and that's just skeleton. We still have our regular budget needs for this year through December, especially for what we did in the election. And I'm really asking you to help us with this. This is unplanned. COVID was unplanned, right? This runoff is seriously unplanned. And we try to plan even for the unexpected. This is beyond what any of us could have imagined. But we can really make a difference. And if we got student turnout to what it was on November 3rd, and here's a dose of cold water. History shows that in runoffs, there's a serious decline in voting, particularly by Black people and people of color and young people. Here's our chance to change that dynamic. We must change that dynamic, and it's just Georgia. So we really need your help. So thank you. Now, by the way, please ask questions. We're going to take all of you off mute. But I want to ask, I also want to ask you to tell me what else, and tell us what else we can be doing. And I'll say this, besides the financial investment that we're asking people to help us with, there are other ways for you to volunteer, to reach out to students, etc. Please put that, please tell us your name in the chat room or privately chat any one of us. We'll save it and we'll get in contact with you, because there's a lot of opportunities to text young people, call them, send postcards that we and our partners are doing. So any help would be very much appreciated. Now, any questions? Or if anyone has a question, that you can certainly raise your hand and ask.
Hey, Max, and people have been asking great questions in the chat. We've been answering them fluently. So, but if there are any remaining questions, we're happy to answer them.
Oh, I got a question. Deal, are you trying to unmute? I got a question, which is about why AGF is different. So AGF is different than a lot of our other groups that focus on young people, because we're non-cyclical, which means we did not ramp down after this election. We're on campuses year round. Even in what's called an off year, there are no off years for the Andrew Goodman Foundation. And so that allows us, luckily, even during this holiday break, to be engaged with young people. let me also say, so you know, the help we got. So we incurred over $300,000 of additional expenses for the presidential election, and some of the people who are here, by the way, you know, it's so many of you. I really appreciate you turning out again and again. Helped us meet most of those expenses. So let me call out some of you. Jeff Gutman and Stacy Buston, thank you for always showing up. And we've actually never met. So it's so good. People who've come through these, the virtual version, of course, our board members who have been incredibly wonderful. Roberta, Andrea, I mean, it's like there's not enough. And I cannot believe that we're even getting people from London on this. So thank you. Thank you. I think saving democracy in America is an international concern. And so I'm actually proud to say, for those of you who don't know, we've had people join us from Thailand, from the United Kingdom, from Sweden, and so forth, because there's such an interest, especially in the future, not just the immediate future, but young people's participation and changing our democracy.
Max, some people are asking about phone banking and texting. If you're interested in volunteering in that way, can you please just drop your email in the chat, and we will connect with you.
It looks like Dale has something she wants to ask or say.
She's muted.
Here we go, Dale.
Okay. Max, can you put down the volume on your computer? We're at two separate places. If you've registered and voted in the national election on November 3rd, are you registered to vote in this senatorial runoff?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course, you have to be
You don't have
registered.
to re-register.
Yes.
Come again, Dale?
You don't have to re-register. Okay. So we're just looking to register the 23,000 young
What?
people who turn 18.
Dale Moore. Not every student was registered. Not every young person was registered. There's still a gap.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure of that. Yeah.
So we want to expand the 23 and any additional student who did not, who may be totally now mobilized to realize that their votes matter. The biggest, as Alex often says, the biggest challenge young people feel is that their votes don't matter. Imagine that you now know that Georgia went blue for 14,000 votes. Any campus turning out, for the most part, can change that election. And so we're trying to get people who didn't register, who could have last time. And then, of course, the 23,000.
Yeah, Maxim's spot on. When we were speaking with HBCU students during our summit, there was a little bit of that tension about whether votes mattered, whether their vote was going to count, whether it made any difference. And when you saw so many of these margins just so tight, people could really see, especially young students who are voting for the first time, how much their vote really, really counted. So this is a big deal, and we anticipate a big turnout for this election.
One of the other things, folks, we are trying to be so tight on time because our first one, lasted almost 2.5 hours. Now we're trying to do it to 30 minutes. So jump in so that we don't keep you all night. And also, our staff is around the country. So for some of us, it's already almost 9 p.m. For some, it's like 6. And so we're doing both East Coast and West Coast time. So any questions? And of course, after this, email us, text us, and so forth. Join our social media, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you have. In fact, please do that. I mean, that's really helpful to us to spread the word to as many people as possible about what we do.
Maxim, I just want to highlight Lift Every Voice and Sing. No, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Lift Every Voice, and I don't actually know what your real name is, has committed to deploying over 2,500 volunteers to help us and support our work. So thank you so much. And sorry for adding the sing to your organization. That's fantastic.
Hi, everybody. I just want to add something super quickly. Hi, my name is Boy, and I live in Georgia, and I also help to manage the on the ground part of our organization. And one of our amazing program managers, her name is Gabby. She is the one managing.
I invited some.
Um, and so, what's really cool about knowing our impact here in Georgia is that I know that you all were really watching closely, like everybody else in the country, how close this race was here in Georgia. And two counties in particular that were very crucial to turning Georgia from red to blue were DeKalb and Fulton County. What's really interesting about both of those two counties is that they are not only heavily populated with young folks, but particularly they have one of the highest concentrations of universities and colleges in those two counties at once. So you have young, educated Black folks ready to vote. And on top of that, those are a lot of schools that we at AGF directly work with. Those are our students that literally help turn out the vote. And so knowing that your impact really does matter. And something that I would also add when it comes to the purchasing of data is that not only are we purchasing people that haven't registered yet, there are some students, if you can believe it, that haven't registered yet, where also there's new students who have never had the opportunity to register to vote because they're just turning 18 now. So there's a huge gap of people that have never had the opportunity to vote who are going to have an opportunity now. And we want to make sure that we're giving them all the right information and all the right resources to make their plan to vote in this really crucial election. So it's really exciting, and we know that our work is making a direct impact.
So thank you, Boy. Boy has been a gift to us. And we could not be more excited the fact that it is in many ways because of the pandemic that we have had staff like Boy in Georgia, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, who are permanently there, Seattle, Arkansas, not just New Jersey, New York, and so forth. And it has been incredibly a blessing to have people on the ground, even in a pandemic. So for folks who are listening, and I've called some of you out, like Bob Spoor, the genius behind Ashoka. Listen to our work and invest in us. We need you. And Brenda, anything that you can give, we are in this moment. In previous times we were desperate, and now we're on the cusp of like a dramatic change. We really need your help. And for everyone like Sarah, and Jeff and Stacy, who've hosted events for us. If you have a virtual gathering on your own, please do it so that we can, in fact, reach as many people, but also so that we can get some investment. And David Cohen, thank you. You have given multiple gifts within just a course of weeks. That has really brought us to be able to cover most of our presidential extra expenses, even if not our total annual budget. And Lee and Nancy, you know how much you mean to us. Mary Ellen, Michael, Roberta, Stephanie, Vivian, really, we appreciate it. I know it takes time, but so just as the way that we are depending on our students and young people to turn out, for those of us who have the capacity, they are depending on you to help them make this possible. Thank you, Alex.
And lastly, Barbara asked in the comments, are we targeting or reaching out to students who are not native to Georgia, who are essentially out of state? Absolutely. And that's why what Stephanie said and what Boy said is especially important, and Justina and Maxim. As students are heading out of town, this is a crucial time where we need to coordinate with them to make sure that they know how to vote early, that they know how to vote absentee, especially since they may or may not be on campus. This is a time when students are going home, and because of COVID, they will not be coming back. They'll be gone until the next semester. So our work guiding students, particularly those who are not from Georgia, is especially important. And all of this, like I said before, we're doing completely remotely, not completely, we do. Someone also asked, are we doing anything on the ground? We actually are. As Maxim has noted, we have multiple staff members who live in Georgia and who have been participating in our on the ground efforts with some of our schools like Georgia State. So this is just really important work, and we're doing it in a very holistic way, digitally, in person, text messaging, carrying ballots, poll working, all the things. If ever there was an organization to support during this time, I think it's the Andrew Goodman Foundation. And we're really, really looking forward to working with you on this and everything else. As Maxim said, we do not have an off year. And right now we're really excited about making sure that we capture this excitement and interest and drive it all the way into 2021 and beyond. Because what we're seeing is people are fired up, people are excited, they know that they can make an impact, and there's a lot of work to be done, as you know. So thank you so much for showing up tonight. We know that you care.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody. Michael for donating just now, Doug for donating, Vivian for donating. Just keep it coming. Before we say goodbye, that's as much as I can get through, and we're gone.